Hi, everyone. I'm Rosemary Miller here with Derek Saul, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes, here to tell us if weight loss drugs like Ozempic will affect fitness stocks. Thank you so much for joining me today, Derek.
Yeah, excited to talk.
So, Derek, will they affect fitness stocks?
Short answer, yes. I think it's very, very early on in terms of adoption, and I think we'll get into this more, but I think exercise stocks would definitely be kind of a effect we would see later down the line if it's okay, now once person is starting these drugs, then how's their behavior going to change? But based on my research, the answer is yes.
So, why are analysts suggesting that it might be beneficial for the fitness sector?
Yeah, so I would say it's twofold. One, and again, it's early, but research has suggested, there's a Morgan Stanley report that was out saying that Ozempic and other weight loss drug users, that they are exercising more frequently, and not to try to play too much of a armchair psychologist, but I think it's okay if a person is wanting to make a change and lose weight, that they're likely going to also be engaging in behaviors that would promote other health, want to exercise to maintain that weight loss, whether it's after they're done with taking the drug, or while they're still on and want to see more results. And so the second part is that if we're seeing people exercise more, that's going to be a good thing for places that rely on gym memberships and other spending related to fitness. Again, it is early stages, but I think kind of that knee-jerk reaction might be, if a ton of people are taking weight loss drugs, they're not going to exercise. It's kind of taking the easier road, but early signs do indicate that the opposite is true.
Well, speaking of gyms are thinking about integrating it into their gym offerings. What are some of the implications, and could you just talk about that more?
Yeah, so to zoom out a bit first too, so gym stocks are pretty limited. Lifetime Fitness and Planet Fitness are both publicly traded. Lifetime Fitness, a higher end option, and they have discussed a little bit about piloting a program for members to work with a whole integrated approach of whether it's nurse practitioners, other medical staff that would be employed by Lifetime, and then helping members that would qualify to go on the drugs through that. So that's, again, that beginning a pilot program, so it would be hard to forecast that into near-term earnings, but I think that's a good example too of, this is a big trend that clearly these big fitness companies are thinking a lot about and trying to get ahead of things. But yeah, I think for fitness stocks generally, and then if you're to zoom out a little more of stocks that would kind of be affected by changes in consumer behavior, this is something that's starting to drive discussions, and you're starting to see it mentioned in earnings calls, but it's still very early stages, again, to kind of reflect in near-term financials, but it's very much something that's on the top of mind of people that are covering these companies and within these companies.
So, do you think this could be a positive thing for athletic apparel companies like Lululemon?
Yeah, so one of the analysts I spoke to, Simeon Siegel at BMO, he mentioned that he covers both fitness stocks and stocks like Lululemon, Nike. And yeah, it's kind of, again, it's working. He mentioned of, you're looking at multiple derivatives of behaviors of, again, if it's okay, if a earlier impact of Ozempic would be, people are losing their appetite, then it would make sense if you're seeing, packaged food stocks or junk food stocks are going to take a more immediate hit, because if people are just eating less, then that's going to immediately impact their sales. Whereas, if you're going to, how is behavior going to change? Again, that's kind of another derivative out. But yeah, I think with kind of following that same psychological line of thought for these takers of these drugs is, well, one, and this is a little simplistic, but if you are losing weight and changing your clothing sizes, that obviously makes you more in the market for new clothing. But I think it's, again, if we are seeing that people that are taking these drugs are more focused on fitness and more focused on their physical appearance, that they likely would be turning of, okay, I'm going to get in on the athleisure craze versus, okay, I'm going to dedicate maybe the same amount of my clothing budget to just straight work clothing or jeans. Like, you're probably going to want to get clothing that would reflect those changes in lifestyle.
That's true, but Lululemon ain't cheap, I'll say that.
No, definitely not.
But also, there's some stretch. If you're going down sizes, you want something that'll go down with you a little stretch.
Yeah, and I think, it's funny you mentioned with Lululemon being expensive, but another analyst that I talked to at Piper Sandler, Corinne Wolfmeyer, she mentioned how, especially people where if it's purely for weight loss, if it's not covered by insurance, if you're willing to spend a couple $1,000s per month on a drug, you're probably have enough money around to be spending more on luxury treatments. And I think going back to fitness topics specifically, but in Planet Fitness has been mentioned that Ozempic is probably going to be a good thing for the business. But what Corinne did mention was that the Planet Fitness customer base is probably not too much in the Venn diagram of people that would have thousands of dollars sitting around to be spending on this, and that because it's not targeting as high end of a customer that's like super invested into gyms and exercise and weight loss, that Planet Fitness is probably not the exact target demographic. I think that's also why, again, very, very early, but I think that's why you're probably seeing of, okay, like Lifetime, where they're targeting people that are already spending $200 a month on a gym membership, that they're probably going to, for better or worse, more directly wade into the situation.
That makes sense. Well, Derek, how has the sales of weight loss drugs, how's that contributed to the valuations of pharmaceutical companies?
Yeah, so honestly, it's been very interesting. We've really seen that these weight loss drug manufacturers have become the biggest pharmaceutical companies in the world. Novo Nordisk, which makes Ozempic and Wegovy, and Eli Lilly, which is an American company, which produces Mounjaro. They've seen sales explode pretty exponentially. I know Ozempic sales are up 58% year over year. Profits for the company as a whole have exploded. But I think what's been very interesting too is there's been a decline in sentiment for COVID vaccine makers, because as they've seen profits and sales related to COVID products decline, like Pfizer. And in turn, we've seen Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk, which is based out of Denmark, explode, and they're worth hundreds of billions of dollars, and very much on the upswing. I think both of their stocks are up about 60 to 70% over the last 12 months, which well outperforms the broader market.
Yes, it does. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Derek.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.